So, right away, I want to say that when it came to Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, I didn't really have much expectations of it being amazingly well done, of a lengthy story or whatever, this or that, because Bungie said it themselves. It was going to be a Rise of Iron-esque kind of DLC, which Rise of Iron in Destiny 1 was a good story, but it wasn't very, very long, like, or not as long as, like, the Taken King story, but it was still a story. When it comes to Shadowkeep, I honestly will say that when it comes to the story, that's where Shadowkeep is at its strongest. I mean, the very first mission just completely took my assumptions and just slapped myself in the face with it, with the assumption, and went a whole different direction going forward. So I had no idea what I was going to be seeing next throughout the story, which was a great feeling. Originally, I was thinking to myself, oh, castle, moon, this is Savathûn, all right. But instead, it was going on the story about the darkness. I mean, big spoiler alerts. I know I probably should have, said that beforehand. I'll try and not really go into the ending and stuff, but I will talk about what the main focus is about this story, which is basically surrounded about the mystery of the collapse of, the past, and then the darkness and the pyramid ships and why it's here and this and that and this, and why our nightmares are coming back to haunt us. Like, just darkness and light, now that story is being more explained within this DLC, and it kind of paves the direction of the future of the annual pass and how that's going to go. I would assume that's how it's going to go because, well, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep ended with kind of a cliffhanger that was a story that can continuously go every single season. I could see it. I mean, the raid didn't even conclude it entirely too. We're just continuously going forward and into this story now. Now, when it comes to the missions and what we got, a lot of the missions were interesting and different. But granted, some of the missions were kind of just like, hey, go on the moon and do blah, blah, blah activities, grind this, do that, get your light level up. So it was not entirely just like do story missions. There was a bit of a old tradition of Destiny where it's like grind, then do the story missions. Like do this tedious thing that you may not want to do to progress the story. But again, with those excluded, I think that Bungie is doing a great job with what they're going for as a direction for Destiny's future. Because Destiny, one of its bad habits is the story being lackluster. Because they're trying to do a story that, one, is interesting, but also it's lengthy. And Shadowkeep, I don't think they would have been able to completely conclude a story with the amount of story missions that they had with Shadowkeep, so it was good how they ended it, so then they can just progress it through the new seasons. At least that's what I'm assuming. Now, when it comes to the other things that we got, I feel like the lack of exotics definitely took my attention. I mean, I didn't realize that when it came to the exotics, most of them you're given through quests and also through just doing the story. And then after that, there's only just a few that will actually drop from the world. Actually, I think it's just mainly Monte Carlo, and that's kind of it. I was really disappointed to see that because honestly, I was expecting there to be a little bit more, because now one of the good things, the praised things of Destiny 2 is now the foundation is in a better spot, but it's still got its issues, which I'll save for other videos where I talk about power level and, whatever else if I decide to. But basically, nightfalls are a lot more different, exotic drop rates are a lot more different, and I just feel like this is how Destiny 2 should have launched to begin with. Now, Armor 2.0, I want to talk about, but I'll leave that later. But I want to talk about content. But when it comes to Armor 2.0, I have issues with that, and but I also like it at the same time. When it comes to the amount of other content, so for example, Destiny 2 with Crucible, I think we get 2 remakes and then we get 1 new one. Correct me if I'm wrong. There might be another one. I have no idea. Maybe that'll be released with Iron Banner when it comes in. But I did like to see Widow's Court make a return. Twilight Gap, yeah, didn't really mind it, but there were some new changes to Twilight Gap that I wasn't a big fan of. The new map that they created, I'm very confused on. Like, it honestly is just very I don't really love it that much, but granted, I only played it like 2 to 3 times. I haven't really gotten it to be one of the maps that I get to play on for a while. So maybe if I actually experience it a little bit more, maybe it'd be a different story. But as of right now, it was kind of Then we also got 2 new strikes, the Scarlet Keep one and the one on IO. The Scarlet Keep Nightfall strike is actually pretty fun, and I like what they did with it. It's just one of the things that I'm disappointed on is that these strikes, that whenever they're the Nightfall, don't have a Nightfall exclusive reward. What is going on? Plus, on top of that, Bungie, how come you didn't change the old Nightfalls, the old strike exclusive rewards, to a year 3 format? Where, because, like, I mean, still, if you do, for example, the the Pyramidion strike, you're going to get that sniper, but it's always going to be the same role, and it's going to be in the year 1 format, when they should have added random roles to it, just like everything else. I still don't understand why they haven't done this. And they have the resources to definitely do this, but why do they not? I really am disappointed that they don't look at old content to try and make it relevant to what it is now. Still, Bungie, get on that. But again, the Scarlet Keep strike is actually really fun. Just disappointing that there's no exclusive reward through that strike if it's ever the Nightfall, which actually recently is. And the other strike that I got to play, which was not actually in the story, it was actually just there that you could just go and play, which is the one that I was most interested with. It's the Savathûn related strike. The Taken are in there. There's a Taken boss. The mechanics are very interesting. They have these freaking walls that are going to hit you. Cyclopses are all over the place. It is a crazy strike. I honestly really do like it. It's funny how I hate the Taken, but most of the strikes that they've created with the Taken, I actually do enjoy the most. It's really funny because I like the Lake of Shadows a lot as well. And funny enough, the Taken boss at the end is a Cabal as well, and I love it. I love the entire thing. But they finally mentioned Savathûn, and not only that did they mention Savathûn, but they pretty much confirmed that yes, this is stronger than Oryx. You know, she's witty, she's gonna be sneaky, and she's a trickster and all that stuff. So makes me assume that probably there will be a Destiny 2 Year 3, where maybe it will be all about Savathûn. I don't know. Or Destiny 3 will be that. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just hoping that they don't do Savathûn for one season, and it's just boring. I want a full-fledged campaign like the Taken King for this son of a gun. So, Bungie, do it. So when it comes to the strikes, good job. Crucible maps, mixed. The patrol zone, good. The activities, good. And obviously with Season of Undying going through, I'm already in a very happy state about it. Vex Offensive is very rewarding and fun, just like how Menagerie was at first, until obviously they nerfed the rewards. So now they're doing really good things. And then with the whole evolving world, we're now like Ikora behind her. They're building something which I'm assuming is like a portal for the end of the Vex Offensive story, which if you go and figure that out, it's dealing with a certain Vex mind, giant Hydra that we dealt with back in D1. So, interesting. When it comes to the changes for PvP and PvE, I will have to say that I do like having us a little bit hindered back on the amount of super energy that we get, the resistance on our supers, like it feels more risk and reward. I like the new mod system a lot. I like how the weapons feel with the buffs. Snipers are in a good spot, and this and that. Now, for the complaints. I wanted to save these for the end. Armor 2.0. One of the things I will say is that one of the reasons why I get why they do this, which is the energy types of the armor, is to ensure that once you get an armor, it's not like, okay, now you're done. There's no point of getting armor anymore. Like, I understand why they're doing that, but at the same time, exotics is where I get a little bit irritated. Obviously, different energies will slot different kind of mods. There are some that are universal, but some of them are not. Like, if you want to get sniper perks, you're going to have to get void energy armor. And when it comes to exotics, with how, rare they could be, you're going to want to get one of each type if you want to run certain weapons. And scavenger perks are actually very tied to also the energy types as well, which honestly, I feel like that's a little bit disappointing because scavenger I didn't like in Destiny 2 Forsaken, where if you wanted to get the most ammo, you had to run 2 scavenger perks, so you would have to get the gauntlets and the class item and have multiple armor sets for that. I still haven't tested out how much ammo you get from having the scavenger perks of the Armor 2.0 versus the old version with my 2-stacked scavenger, because, yes, but I would assume that it would at least be somewhere in between. I mean, I've already noticed in the Crucible without a scavenger perk, I'm only getting 1 bullet for my sniper, as usual, how it used to be when I didn't have scavenger perks, so I haven't really tested out putting on scavenger perks, going in the Crucible, picking up a special thing, and seeing if that would change. Still haven't done that. But Armor 2.0, I do like how it's more about, building your character rather than just being like, oh, I got the rolls I want. Now, you still have to play RNG on the stats on the armor, like the basic ones without the mods, but, whatever. That's just one issue about that. But, moving on, mods is kind of annoying because there is no collections tab to them. I wish that the game would be able to tell me which ones I don't have and how to acquire them. Because, as of right now, it's very confusing. And again, it would be really, really nice to have a overall, look of how, oh, this mod is a void mod inside the collection, so I know that if I want to use this one mod, I have to use void armor, rather than getting void armor, checking to see if it's there, all that stuff. So I feel like mod collections should be a thing down the road as well, but that's kind of a minor issue. Another issue that I have is actually based on still snipers, which I plan on doing a video down the road. Flinch in PvE needs to be reworked. I feel like in PvE, flinch should not be really much of a thing at all, to barely. PvP, I really am a sworn believer that flinch needs to be reworked to be more predictable, but at the same time, I don't think they should turn it off entirely, but that's a video for a different time. And the other one that I want to talk about as a complaint is how we get up to 950 to 960, which I've done in a other video before this, where I talked about power level and stuff. Like, that's a little bit mixed on that one. And the final one that I want to talk about, which I might even do in a separate video, is Eververse. I feel like the prices for things are very, very high, and we're getting less bright dust weekly, and I was right with the bright dust famine, which is kind of disappointing. So I am hoping that if they're not full on greed, then I want them to prove that with the upcoming new event, season Festival Lost, where I would hope they would give us lots and lots of bright dust through the bounties that will most likely be for this new event. And on top of that, I would really like them to make repeatable bounties to have more bright dust. But again, I think I'll talk about Eververse and bright dust in a different video entirely. But overall, I really, really do like Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. I feel like it's in a right position for the future of Destiny and where they will go next. I will do a separate video talking about my concerns about the annual pass and stuff like that. But again, as of right now, I really, really like what they did with Shadowkeep. I really like what they did with Destiny 2 in general with the changes that they did. And I really want to thank everybody at Bungie that has been working very, very, very hard to make these things happen. I mean, you guys are now self-publishing. I know that could be very stressful now, so I wish you the best of luck, but please, 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 do not go full-on corporate and greed and whatever. Please be the Bungie that we all love and have known. Don't let us down. And then that's a big thumbs up from me, fam. So, either way, I want to know your thoughts on Destiny 2 Shadowkeep in the comments down below. Just want to do a generalized thoughts video on Shadowkeep. So, thank you very much for listening as usual. You guys have a Chibi-tastic day. Have a good one. Chibi out.